kind of taking it for granted that they're going to beat this Giants team because they're so woefully bad. And I know that's a mistake. I know you can't do that in this league, and I know you can't do that with this team. Are you kind of taking this for granted like I am, or is this going to be a battle?
There might be two teams in football you can take for granted a win against and get away with it, and it's the Browns and it's this one. They stink.
Yeah.
They are so bad. And they were bad like 2 weeks ago, and then they lost Landon Collins.
Yeah.
And they suspended Eli Apple. And I don't even think he's that good. He's super talented, but he has days where he's effective, and now he's suspended. Like, they got no players left. Janoris Jenkins is good. Their defensive line's solid. Outside of that, they got nothing. Offensively, their tight ends are all right. They're young and inconsistent. Evan Ingram, obviously their first-round pick, now has basically a full season under his belt. But, man, that's about it. They are really a not talented football team.
But you know what's funny? When you look at the Redskins roster, there are probably 10 names on there at least of guys that just never had a chance of being on a regular season roster this year. Certainly not with the Redskins. They're equally sort of, you would think in a lot of ways, as bad talent-wise, and yet they're finding a way to do it. I don't know. It's pretty remarkable to me.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that you have a much better quarterback at this point. What Kirk is now compared to what Eli is now is very, very different. Helps on the offensive side. You know, they were a little bit deeper and have had guys come on. You know, Doxson obviously last week has a ton of targets. Doesn't get the production but is still talented. Crowder's talented. Ryan Grant's actually had a really good year, and I think he's shown some in the past couple of weeks too. He looks a little faster to me, more dynamic, and so I wonder moving forward if that's a guy who can maybe like break a tackle once every other week. So some stuff going offensively, just frankly, to beat the putrid teams they played the last couple of weeks. And defensively, like, Zach Vigil's been really good. Like, he's not a world beater, but he's all right. Mo Spate's been a lot better the last couple of weeks. He's been sick the last 2 days, so I don't know what his status is moving towards Sunday. But, like, their secondary's intact. Defensive line is all right. You know, they obviously are missing Allen, but they've been without him since, week 5. And then on the outside, you still have your pass rushers, and Gallette's been spectacular the last couple of weeks. Kerrigan's played really well. Smith's played really well, and those guys have mattered. That pass rush has mattered the past couple of weeks. So, like, when it comes to the we're injured and not very good, the Redskins are definitely at the upper echelon of that, but obviously not. They weren't able to survive it enough to make a playoff push.
Now, Trent Williams isn't playing. We know he's going to have off-season surgery. I saw that it's a longer recovery from the surgery than I expected. What are they saying about Trent's injury?
6 months was what I was hearing, and it could be as many as 9 months, but really they were pushing more the 6-month recovery. And that surgery actually, today's the 29th, right? So I think that surgery might be happening today. That was the latest of what Jay had said last week, that 29th was the target date. So unless something changes, Trent Williams is waking up and having major surgery for the first time in his life this morning. And there were a couple different surgeries that they were considering, and they weren't going to know until they went in there arthroscopically and looked and take a look at some MRIs and stuff. So it seemed like Trent was pretty set that the 6-month recovery was going to be the time frame.
What is the exact injury?
So let's see if I can pull out. I know I can do the acronym this early. I don't know if I can pull out the entire word.
I thought it was a patella tendon.
It's the MPFL, the medial patellofemoral tendon. I did it. That was the thing. The medial patellofemoral tendon. And so it's right underneath the kneecap, and it's a tendon that keeps kind of your knee in place, the kneecap in place. And so that was sliding around on him, which is just as horrifically painful as it sounds. And so that's what it was. And then also because that was sliding around, that was causing a bone bruise. Like as the knee slid, there was bruising that was happening underneath the skin and the muscle and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that sucked. And the bruising obviously is down since he's not trying to play NFL football anymore, but he's got to get the ligament replaced.
Gotcha. All right, so what are the things that they should worry about? If we just focus on this game here for a moment. They're only scoring 15 points a game. If the Giants do hurt us and shock the world, I mean, they did score, they scored 29 or so against the Eagles. How did that happen? I know they played against Nick Foles, but how did that happen?
Tight ends, running backs. Those are the two positions. I actually talked to a guy about this a little bit yesterday, and they said their tight ends are legitimately good. Evan Ingram's a talented player. If you let him get loose, he's one of those matchup nightmares where he's probably too fast for your linebackers and he's too big for your safeties. So what the Redskins have done in the past with players like that, and considering they have zero weapons on the outside, you can definitely afford to do this. You put Quentin Dunbar on him. Dunbar's fast and he's big.